The average American has 8.2 subscriptions per month. I don't know where they get the point two, but they average it to be over $200 per month. And that's subscriptions. And subscriptions are something that we use for entertainment or well-being, like a gym membership, your Netflix, your Amazon, the convenience or the entertainment or the well-being. Ain't that crazy that $200 a month is spent on entertainment or well-being, yet by the end of the dang 9 to 5 workday, there isn't even that much time to get to utilize those subscriptions. If you're the average American, like, bro, you're just cooked basically because you have a 40-hour work week, yet it takes an hour to commute. It's gonna take, if you have a gym membership and you want to actually utilize it, that's an hour. You have groceries, you have, you gotta cook your meals. If you have family, you gotta take care of your family. It's a lot of time to be spent just to utilize those subscriptions. And as someone who's like just getting off of work, like being in a rushed state constantly, it's just not it, bro, because like there's not that space to have for rejuvenation and for living your life, because and living your life is not all about the subscriptions, but it's just kind of ironic that we spend so much on entertainment and subscriptions and we can't even enjoy it, but we're commoditized as a human to like have our time be sold, and we can't even use that time to freaking enjoy what we want to enjoy. And so it's kind of a weird place to be in, especially in the US, that we're such a big capitalist society, and yet the biggest value that I see that no one has, the biggest resource that no one has, is time itself. It's the most valuable thing that is non-renewable. Time. Everyone's strapped for it, and when you're strapped for time, it changes who you are. Like fundamentally, it will change who you are. Whenever I worked my corporate job for 14 months, and I was, all day grinding as a creative individual who's not necessarily happy in the monotonous, dude, it changed me. My friend would ask, yo, you want to hang out? I said, no, dude. I told him to F off. I got to go to bed. And it was 8 p.m., dude. I told him I had to meal prep. I had to go to the gym. I had to get to bed. And the next day I woke up at like 4:30 a.m., go to work. They have a gym at work. Run and all this crap. Dude, it was awful. And it's a weird place that we live in because everyone's strapped for time. We're paying so much money for subscriptions, for entertainment that we're unable to use. So then what can we do about it? At an individual level, like, what can we do? Because as much as I want to wag my finger at the external world around me, really, like, there's a few options that we as individuals have. And I mean, one is to surrender to it, to accept that, well, like, this is the Western world we live in. We work long hours and we pay a lot just to exist. You're paying rent, it costs a lot. Owning a house nowadays is really difficult. And it's kind of like like in my perspective, it's a trap because you're bound to that house. You're bound to a mortgage. You have to pay something. Like you're stuck basically. And it's just expensive out here, bro. And it's tough because you want to take like a day off. Well, that costs money to just exist on that day off. And it just makes you think, what are we doing here? What is the real value? What is the real value in that we're trying to search for? We're trying to get more money to live a more comfortable life. But I feel like that's just gonna never end. And so my plan is I'm going to escape the country and leave this life behind. I'm half joking because I am about to go on a trip to Japan, and I'm going to just let go of this lifestyle and see what I can create in the meantime. Because there's places in Asia, they have they have a partially different philosophy. Because on one hand, people work like till they're unable to, like stay awake. They will sleep in the office. But they hold a sort of philosophy to it. And that's what gets me curious, because there's people who live peaceful lives and they're working like 50 hours a week. And that's what I'm like, how 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 hours a week. And they're just completely happy with it. And so that's the question that I think we're looking for the answer to, is how do we accept this culture of grinding and find inner peace. And it's weird. It's really weird out there, because I'm right now I'm unable to accept it, but I have resources to go and explore and to find more insights, meet new people, discover new environments to grow in. Because it's hard to grow doing the same monotonous thing over and over. It's hard to expand your worldview. Even if, you have to be very intentional. You gotta read books, watch different podcasts or documentaries or shows. And to learn about the world in that way, for me, I'm unable to do it. And there's answers I'm looking for, and maybe we're the only ones as an individual that can answer those questions, but I think the way that those answers come out, it takes a new environment, a new challenge to forge that new idea. If you're at the same thing over and over and over and nothing changes, nothing will change. And of course, it takes consistency to build. It takes discipline to build. But if you don't know the direction you're building in, you're gonna run in circles. And so, for us as individuals, I think that's what we are lost searching for, is that direction to go in. And it's so easy to be consumed by media. It's not us consuming it, it's actually consuming us, because it will push us in different directions. We see one person doing one thing and it sparks a little bit of something and we get curious, but we need to sit with that. We need to sit with, okay, why did this idea spark such a weird insight, and just let it simmer, let it, internally simmer. Really, the subscription concept of buying more things You know, we don't want to be left out. We want to be kept up with the current shows. We want to take care of ourselves, obviously, with things like a gym or some sort of, active hobby. We want to save time with the convenience of things because we're so strapped for time. So we will purchase quick and easy ways to eat meals, quick and easy ways to entertain ourselves, short bursts of entertainment through social media. And that's kind of the culture that's being built nowadays. And that's why I find it interesting that an Eastern perspective is slowly trickling into the West, because people were realizing slowly, like, what are we doing? What's the point? What's the point of getting up and working and pushing yourself towards something that's set up by a previous generation, previous ideas, work, raise a family, and go and just, and then what? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Then what? Maybe you find your way through that, but it's like, what's the point of just surviving? Like, there's not room to breathe. Maybe there is, and that's something I'm getting wrong. It feels like there's not room to breathe. And from my experience, just being somebody who's just different, who doesn't fit into a cookie cutter society, like, there's different paces for different people. And we can't expect the same path to fit for different people. And so this lifestyle of constantly being focused around money and making more of it, and using that money to save more time because we have no time, but we're using so much of our time to make more money, and it's like just producing. And it feels like at times there's not space to just exist. Because when you're not producing, it feels like we're consuming. Our money is being consumed, our attention is being consumed, and that's why nowadays it's so uncomfortable for people to just sit in silence, because they feel that pressure, that external pressure set up to do more. I come from an Asian household, or I'm half Asian, and I know the pressure and expectations that were passed down to each generation. And I understand the previous generation faced a lot, and it gets easier and easier with each generation. And I'm just realizing that expectations create a prison. Like, they really create a barrier around a person to live a certain way. And when you teach somebody else expectations, then they learn how to put them on themselves. Like, if you only think a certain way, I'm trying to put this into an example. If you can only be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or something along those lines, then you're not going to open up to other paths, even if you are naturally good at other things. Also, I'm in a traffic jam. What is going on? It's more time to just ponder. Oh. It's kind of funny because it's ironic. I create content in my car because I feel like I don't have time to put towards content I want to create. I do want to create stuff like this, but don't get me wrong, I want to create more. And it doesn't feel like I have that space at times. It's a tough cycle to break, and we're figuring it out here in the West. But hopefully this trip in Japan and possibly other countries will spark new ideas and insights. Well, thank y'all for joining me this far. I was trying to see if there's anything else that comes up that is important to say, but overall, I'm just realizing how weird it is out here. Like, the ancient Romans did not work this much, but who knows? Maybe maybe we're just, the young generation just doesn't want to work. But trying to understand a holistic perspective, and I understand from the younger generation's point, but from an older generation, that's just what they're taught, man. They're just taught to just put your head down and work. And to a degree, like, I mean, I definitely respect it. And I was listening to a Shaolin monk today, just in a podcast, and he was talking about, sometimes you just gotta talk less and do more. And really, it's your actions that make movement, that make things happen. But it can be hard when we're stuck in our heads all day. We're sitting at a desk and we're working all day, or maybe some of us aren't. But we're working all day, our time is spent doing that, get home mentally tired, mind is running, consume entertainment, media, mind is running more. Like, our way of relaxing is more consuming, and we don't have time to get out of our heads and into our bodies and, like, be present into our bodies here and now. And that's why, I don't know, freaking monks are so cool. Like, Shaolin monks are freaking fire, because, like, dude, they will go and train their bodies, and it's, like, actually meant to train their mind, because they're in the present moment, they're strengthening their bodies, and it strengthens themselves overall. And so I find it weird that, we're here with 4 limbs, and we have this ability to move and run and dance and such, and yet we don't use this ability. And it's like, I don't blame the individual. We weren't really taught the importance of this and how it connects with our mental health. But anyways, thank you guys for making it this far. Right now, my dream is to just make content on YouTube and just keep making content on YouTube. So thank y'all for all who are supporting me. I want to keep making more content and try to share any findings I have. I want to help, especially with the mental health topic. So if any of that interests you, feel free to subscribe. I want to keep growing in that direction. Like, I've bounced between many topics and many ideas, between entertainment, gaming, productivity, content. And I think overall, I really like the general mental health space. So that's the direction I'm heading towards. And if that interests you, You know, if that's your vibe, feel free to subscribe. If not, hey, that's totally cool. You got your free will. I respect it. Um, Bye.